Hello, Civic Space TV viewers. I'm Angela Asimwe, a lawyer and human rights activist with you here today, hosting Women's Show. And it's always live every Tuesday like today. And with me here today is someone that is super passionate about parenting, education, the mental health of women and girls, and many more things. She's none other than Olga Ajiri. Olga, you're welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's a real privilege to be here. I really appreciate that you have let me come.
Thank you so
Good to
much.
see you
Good to
after
see
the
you too.
pandemic.
After the
You
pandemic, indeed.
survived it,
I
or it
really,
survived you.
it survived me indeed. So Olga, tell us more. Who is Olga? What do you do?
So my name is Olga Ajiri. I am a mother of four.
Wow.
I mother others that are not necessarily my biological children. And I also help other parents to be equipped, to be empowered, especially young women. I'm passionate about equipping young women in the parenting space. So, on a day to day basis, I'm really a parenting coach. I'm very, very passionate about leaders as well. So, as I coach parents, I'm coaching leaders. I am also educating. I am also helping them to recognize that as women, your emotional health is so critical because we as women serve from who we are. And we are largely emotional people. And sometimes we see that as a negative thing. People say, "You're so emotional." And they say it in a negative connotation. But really, that's who God has made us. And so
Mhm.
our emotions have a place in nurturing, have a place in just raising other people because we pick on their emotions. We're able to tell that there is something bothering this person. There is a place where they are at, and there's a place where they need to be, and we can coach them into that space.
Wow. Thank you so much, Olga. And you've talked about emotions, emotions, emotions.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, there's a lot of emotions, but it was more online.
Yes.
It was all a lot on online spaces and then digital. So I would like to know from you, what do you think are some of the opportunities that women have in
Yes.
regards to online spaces, and girls? Have they been able to access online? You've told us about your parenting, your children also studying online. What are some of those opportunities women, girls, children have in regards to the digital spaces?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Angela. One of the things that we need to recognize when you say access to online, when you talk about the internet, when you're talking about those spaces or digital spaces, you must understand it from a broader perspective. You're not thinking about the 20% elitist women in Kampala. You're really talking about nationwide. And so for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is that woman that doesn't have a phone, that woman that doesn't have a TV, that woman that doesn't have a computer, doesn't know even, so she can't have access to that. And so access, and then there's that woman who has access but can't afford it. So is it accessible? Uh, Perhaps not. The rural woman doesn't have a mobile smartphone. The rural woman doesn't have a computer. She doesn't have a TV that is digital. And so it is difficult. It's difficult for women to have access to the digital space and to use it. The second thing that I think about is affordability. You know, if you're looking for the next meal, if you have little ones surrounding you as a woman and you're nurturing them, it's very difficult to be thinking about a civic space like this. It's very difficult to be thinking, oh, I need a show on YouTube. They don't even know what YouTube is. And so accessibility, affordability, and then the lack of skill. There are women who have smartphones in this town of Kampala, and they're not skilled. They're not
Sure.
skilled enough to know how to use it. Some of them may even afford it, may have access to it, but they don't know. They don't have an education around how to use the digital space. And so those are the things that I would think about. The fourth thing I would think about also is that women who can afford it, have access to it, and are skilled to use it are sometimes intimidated. They're intimidated. So, ladies and gentlemen who are watching there, just think about, let's just start with simple WhatsApp groups. What are the WhatsApp? What do they post on your WhatsApp groups for leisure? When they're cracking jokes, what kind of jokes are they cracking? They're usually cracking about women's bums. They are cracking about how a woman is dressed up, how she's dancing. They are cracking about what has befallen a woman. I don't know if I am coming from outer space when I say that, Angela, but it can be intimidating for a woman who is struggling with something, and there are derogative posts about women that are being placed. You find people talking about, oh, she needs transport, or oh, she ate someone's transport. They are not celebrating women on those forums. And so if you're a woman and that's what you get when you get online, it can be intimidating. It can be also emotionally damaging because they are insulting. They're insulting women on a daily basis. They're insulting women leaders and making fun of them. And you cannot, for example, you can't rate. You can't even put them on the same pedestal. If a politician was cracking a joke, for example, uh, and he's a man and a woman, and something befalls, a woman falls down, they're more likely to make fun of the woman who falls down than the man who falls down. And so for me, access can be tough, and affordability can be tough, and a lack of skill, and perhaps the lack of a resilience on, there's a lot of sexual harassment online. And so if you feel like you're going to be embarrassed, you're going to be sexually insulted and harassed online, you may want to take a back seat and say, let me chill this space for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Olga, for that. And you've talked about the sexual harassment online. So, Olga, what do you think are the best ways to protect these women, the girls, when they go online? How best can we protect them online?
Thank you, Angela. One of the things that I think about is basic education.
Wow.
What is harassment? A lot of women and young women out there, a lot of our girls, our young teenagers don't know what sexual harassment looks like. If I comment on your behind, or if I comment on your breast, I'm dehumanizing your body. I am sexualizing you. I am relating to you in a very inappropriate way. It's very different if your spouse or your partner talks about your behind or your. It's very different when a random man begins to describe you according to your body parts. And so for me, right there is sexual harassment, right there. And if we educate our children, if we educate the young women out there, that right there, call it out. Call it out in those spaces. Call it out online. Call it out on WhatsApp. Call it out. Don't let it pass, because you don't hear um, people, men or women, talking about the chest of a man or his genitals or his behind. No one talks about that. But for a woman, that's like a meal. Every single day they are serving us with that menu. And so for our young girls out there, call it out. Do not let a young man touch you inappropriately and let it pass. Call it out right when he does that. Do not let comments about your body, don't let them just pass. It's important to call it out. And also it's important that how you call it out is in a polite manner. So that, you know what, a man knows how to accord you to respect. You're not looking for a fight. A man understands that you're not looking for a fight, but you're saying, treat me with some dignity. Treat me with some dignity, because that's not a comment you would throw at your sister, neither would you throw it to your mom. And so the young ladies need to educate themselves on what sexual harassment is. But also the second thing that they need to do is to be able to block out. Block out anybody who sexually harasses you online. Do not entertain a conversation and a relationship in which the matters of your soul are made trivial. Your emotions are made trivial. your whole being, your emotional being is made trivial. Block them out. Do not allow an emotional engagement with somebody who is not taking you anywhere. Guard your heart. You know, there's a proverb, a Jewish proverb that says that guard your heart. It's a wellspring of life. Out of your heart is a wellspring of life. And in some places it says out of it flows the issues of life. And so I would say to the young lady, guard your own heart. But also I would say, and I know that a lot of young ladies, I can wear anything I want, but you could wear anything you want, but you could also draw the wrong attention. Your dressing could also be communicating something. And so if I'm going for a wedding, how do I dress up? If I'm going to the office, how do I dress up? If I'm going to the beach, how do I dress up? Uh, and so it is the way you dress up should define for you what you want dignity to look like for you.
Wow.
What does dignity look like for you? Because there's an elegance, and you know, there is no, people don't have a right to say anything to you, but they will. They will. And so don't give them buttons. What I'm saying, don't give people buttons that they can press to destabilize you emotionally. It is critical that you put a high price to yourself, put a high value, invest in yourself, so that you are dignified in the way that you define dignity. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Olga. And then also, you've really explained this issue, but I would like to know, as someone that is very passionate about education, parenting, in regards to education, we know schools in Uganda, we broke the record in regards to closing of schools during the pandemic. So how would you rate access to education in Uganda today, especially for the girl child?
That's a tough question, given all the percentages of young people that were out of school for the last 2 years. It was tough for me personally to be in certain spaces with foreigners asking you, in Uganda, you are still at home? It was not funny. But I want to say that for most girls, they're seen as, can I say, the donkeys in the home, and that's something that we need to change. If you think that the work at home needs to get done by the girl, then she'll have no access to education, because she will be taking care of the home, she'll be running the home, she'll be cooking, she'll be cleaning the house, she'll be taking care of her little siblings, because you have defined that role for her.
Sure.
And that role doesn't have, in a sense, to compete with education, but I find that it does compete with education. And so that's one of them. You have defined the role. The second thing that hinders access to education is the mindset that, you know what, I'm going to educate this girl and then she's going to get pregnant. As if pregnancy should stop a girl from getting educated. Pregnancy, it's a season. It's 9 months, another 1 year to take care of the child, and you could go back to school. And we have such a good support system in our African culture that even when you give birth, you could hand over the child to your mom if there is somebody like that. But it's much easier to go back to school because of our support systems than if you didn't have those support systems. And so there's a mindset change that needs to happen, that if I invest in the girl, she's going to go and get married. But little do these fathers and mothers realize that when a girl gets married, she takes the education that she's received to the new community that she's gone into. And so there's a lot of hindrance as a result of cultural beliefs, as a result of mindsets. The other thing is that most often than not, the girl is seen as the one who is going to go. And just think about education. When you think about education and the girl goes in her periods and she doesn't have pads, that can be a hindrance. I was just telling somebody that we used to call it stamping when we were in school. It meant that maybe you were in your periods and then you stood up and you had soiled your clothes. And that could, if a girl experienced any kind of bullying as a result of that, that could hinder her from going to school, especially in spaces where things like sanitary towels are not accessible. And so that's one of the challenges, just educating societies and understanding that, look, a young lady is in her periods by no choice of hers. It's a God-given, it's a gift. It's something that you need to be celebrating, because the periods are an indication that she's forming and she's going to bring life. She's going to bring life, bring forth life. She's able to carry a child. And so the mindset, and for us moms, even to teach our boys that be very gracious to a girl when she has started her periods. If she needs your sweater in school, give her the sweater and let her tie it around her waist. Those things look small, but there can be so much trauma around a girl who's been bullied around her periods, because periods come every single month. It's not a one time. So if she has to dread that time of the month every single month in school, she will drop out of school, and we won't know why. And the other alternative is just to get married. Then she can stay at home and she can have her periods and no one is going to be laughing at her. There are many reasons why education, and when we talk about access to education, we must also start um, educating men, educating stakeholders on how critical it is for a woman who is educated, for us to educate women. When you educate a woman, let me tell you something, you're educating a nation. By nature, women are nurturing. And so when you nurture and you add value to that nurturing, and that ability to be intuitive, to be discerning, a woman will know that land, don't buy that land. A woman will know, that's a wrong person to have around the home. She's protecting both the men and the women. And so when you educate a woman, you're educating a nation. You're bringing forth life. Everything that you place in a woman, she just brings it out and multiplies it. And so for me, access to education is so critical.
Sure.
It is so critical that your daughter becomes a PhD holder if you're not. If you just have one degree, make sure that your daughter has a master's degree. Make sure that you're not putting her in a box, because for a creative girl out there, allow her to explore. There is nothing that men do that women can't do. The thing is, can you fit in your roles and be compatible with one another so that you're coming alongside? There are things that are critical for a woman that a man can make sure they're in place, because he gets to benefit. But also the woman who decides, let me stay home and take care of the children, you know what she's doing? She's providing stability for that man who goes out to work every single day. He knows that his clothes are sorted, his food is sorted, there is no problem at home, because somebody is in charge of the home and is having it running. And so they contribute a lot to the well-being of the man, and they allow him to actually thrive in the workspace. Does that woman need pay? Yes, that's an education that we need to give to our women, that woman needs to pay. There's unpaid care. It's what we're calling unpaid care. But also that woman raises children who are emotionally stable. Emotionally stable. And let me tell you, there's nothing as good as a centered child. A child who has found their space in life and is comfortable with who they are, their weaknesses, their strength, and they are not looking at the world and thinking, oh, I'm missing out there. They're just doing what God created them to do, and they're enjoying it, and they're serving the world with it.
Wow.
So that's how I see women. I see women as multipliers, just multipliers. Yeah.
Wow. I think now you understand when we say that she's passionate about parenting and also advocating for the rights of women and girls and emotional health. Thank you so much, Olga. You've also talked more about teenage pregnancy. Olga, according to the 2016 Uganda demographic survey, 25% of girls in Uganda got pregnant below the age of 18. But since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the numbers have doubled. Some research that has come out recently shows 42%, others are saying 50%, but these are the ones that are reported, meaning the numbers are very, very many. As someone that is passionate about emotional health, in your opinion, do you think most of these girls out there are getting access to quality emotional health services in Uganda today?
It's tough. The emotional and mental health is not something that is widely known. In fact, some people may dismiss it and say, does that even exist? I think because Butabika is now full, people are beginning to talk about it. Because also there is a growing number of young people who are struggling emotionally, people are beginning to talk about it. But for the girl child, and if you have a girl child out there, I really think that you can have access to her emotional health way before things get out of hand. Sometimes a young lady may get pregnant way before time at an inappropriate age when she's not able to raise a child because her emotional health has been in bad shape for a long time, Angela. So this young man comes up and he might be even an old man. He might be your neighbor. It might be your children play with the neighbor's children, and it could be the neighbor's dad who gets your daughter pregnant. And so it is that perhaps this girl has not been valued. One, she's not been valued. And so if this man comes in and values her in whichever way he does it, then she's able to go to bed with him. The other thing is that every one of us, whether it's a girl or a woman, whether it's a man, you all need to be valued. You all need to be heard. You all need to be seen. And so if your young lady is in your home and you're not seeing her, you're not complimenting her, you're not talking about how beautiful she's looking, and you're not adding value to her, to her outside beauty, she's just looking for a lotion, and the next door man gives her a lotion. And we all know that a lotion does quite a bit of work, my dear. Just a lotion can change your entire appearance.
True.
So if this man is seeing her and adding value to her, and you and I as women, as moms, are not doing that, or she's not getting the validation from her dad, what happens is that if this man validates her, then she will go to bed with him. So for me, it's access to their emotional health is right there in the home. Does your child feel heard by you? Does your child feel that they are seen by you? Does your child feel valued by you? Are you adding value to your girl child? Are you adding value to your boy child as well? Because that boy child who has no emotional stability is the one who takes the other daughter to bed, isn't it? At an inappropriate age. And so with the teenage pregnancy, one of the things that you and I need to be talking about really is what next? Okay, they are pregnant. Okay, children are a gift from God, whichever way they come, by the way, whichever way.
True.
Even through rape, a child is still a gift.
True.
A child is still a gift. And so the question for us is to take care of the moms, the young teenagers, to say, look, you're still valued, even though you got pregnant. We still see a future for you. We still see that you're able to discover your dreams, even as you nurture this child. Is there a program that we can develop that would help this child understand, okay, my dreaming was cut short a bit when I got pregnant, but not cut short completely.
True.
Can we give them hope? And so there are places where these girls could go, but we need more centers all over this country. Centers that give these young teenagers hope that they can dream again, that their dreams are still valid in spite of this detour, and that this detour has brought a gift that we can all celebrate, so that it doesn't go down into other generations. But also these teenagers now need to be emotionally healed. You don't know how they got pregnant. It may not have been a love affair. It could have been an adult who was forceful. It could have been a father who raped his daughter, or perhaps lured her into a sexual relationship without her consent, without her understanding. She was manipulated for a long time before she actually gave in. So there's emotional healing that needs to happen. There's also that dealing with the trauma that you're carrying your brother's child. You're carrying an old man's child, the neighbor who has a family maybe older than your children. And it's also important for us to be thinking, okay, what about the schools? Is there a program that the schools can have outside? Can this child learn in a digital space outside as they are preparing to come back into school? And if it is in the village where there's no access to digital spaces, can there be classes for people who have had children in the different parishes, and say every parish has girls that have gotten pregnant? How can we help them? Can we hire helpers to take care of those children while these girls come together? They have a common problem, but they can solve it by talking to each other, by going through counseling, and by paving a way forward. Okay, I'm pregnant, but how can I go forward? I think it's possible at a parish level, Angela.
Yes.
It is possible at a parish level to actually meet these girls and move them from recovery to actually restoration, and for them to be redeemed. Their future needs to be redeemed. They are the future of this country. So we need to redeem that space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Olga, especially for explaining how the girls can be redeemed and also to be restored into communities and ensure that they get shelters and heal emotionally. So as we sign out, Olga, we are in the Black Women Excellence Month. We are celebrating women this entire month of March. And on this women's show, we have viewers, women, girls, men that would like to know, what is your message to the women and girls out there during this month?
During this month, I would say that one of the things that as my mother grows older, my mom is turning 80 this year, I have begun to appreciate her more. You know, I've begun to recognize the sacrifices that women make. Many women make sacrifices that we don't know about. But I want you women out there to celebrate one another. Find your 10 women that you're going to celebrate before the end of March. And you know, even if you don't know them, write them a note, write them a card and say, I celebrate you. And kindly be specific. Don't say, I just celebrate you, you are very good. No, 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 no. Write down why you appreciate them, why they have made an impact, and what that impact looks like right now in your life. That's what I would say. There's a wailing of gratitude. There's something it does when people feel appreciated, valued, seen for what they have done, and also heard.
True.
The other thing that I would say to young women, put value to yourself. Put value. Value yourself. Educate yourself about your giftings, your weaknesses, how God has wired you, and the experiences that have shaped you, and how all those experiences, bad or good, they're working out for your good. They're going to take you from one place to another place. So ladies, I want you to celebrate the adversity that you have suffered in the past. In these past 2 years, there are things that you have suffered that no one knows about. And young ladies, may I implore you to examine those things and say, what things did I learn? Who have I become as a result? Evaluate these last 2 years and begin to celebrate the growth that you went through as a result of adversity, but also begin to let go of the adversity. It comes to shape you, but you must not hold on to it. You must let it go and just allow the shape to take its root. Women, protect your emotional space. Feed yourself with the right thing. Do not be on WhatsApp for hours. Do not be on social media for hours unless you're developing content and giving it to us. You can't be taking in every trash that is thrown at you. And women, I'm telling you that the digital space really throws trash at women more than it does to men. And so may I ask you to guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. Out of it springs life. And so because you're a life giver, you must protect that space. And Angela, I just want to say that you're doing a great job.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me here.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for engaging. Let me tell you something about having a conversation with a woman. They're actioned.
Yeah.
Conversations with women are action. And so may I just encourage you to have meaningful conversation with your girlfriends this month. and write down your lessons together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It has been a privilege and honor having you here with us on Civic Space TV. Thank you so much, Olga.
I enjoyed being here.
And our viewers, thank you so much for being part and also viewing the show today. We look forward to having you view the show and many other shows that are on Civic Space TV, like Chat Show, we have Community Show, we have Youth at the Round Table, we have Women at the Front Line, and we have Diaspora Show. Please stay tuned, and we look forward to having you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.